Electronic Arts putting their games on GeForce Now is a pretty big deal, not just for GFN but cloud gaming in general, and that's the topic we're going to be discussing today. When last week's news broke out about EA games arriving on GeForce Now, it was widely celebrated not just within the GFN community but the Stadia community as well, and we'll get to why later in this video. But for now, let me just focus on what this means for GeForce Now going forward. In the here and now, we only have access to a very limited selection of EA games, but it is a start and we do know more are on the way. I know many of you within this community alone are hoping to see games like Battlefield 2042 eventually show up, or even the latest FIFA. I myself fall into that very same category. Just the idea and premise of being able to play the latest Battlefield and take it wherever I go is just something so drawing. But regardless of whether or not we end up seeing these titles arrive on GeForce Now sooner or later, EA's support of the service has much more potential than just you or I getting to play the shiniest and latest EA game. And that's because Electronic Arts is an industry leader. They're one of the titans of publishing within the video game industry. I briefly touched on the subject when the news dropped last week, but I want to expand on it further here. To start, I want to take a look at a statement that was given way back in August by Senior Product Manager of GeForce Now, Andrew Fear. There were a few publishers who wanted to try GeForce Now during our free beta period, and then wanted more time to figure out their cloud strategy once we started charging. Many have rejoined GeForce Now already, and we expect more to rejoin in the coming months and years based on feedback from their users. We have continued discussions with them about GeForce Now, and for most, it is a question of when, not if, they will join GeForce Now. I think it's more than fair to say that this is a very confident statement, and if you want to read the full article, I'll be sure to link it down in the description below. But if anything, last week's EA news certainly reinforces this statement. Another very interesting tidbit about that article is that Fear wanted to make it extremely clear that Nvidia's good relationships with developers and publishers had not at all been harmed by previous incidents. That's definitely pointing out at the idea that there's no bad blood between Nvidia and those who decided to pull their games from the service. And that's great news because some of those games are sorely missed by the GFN community. Let's get back on track though, and let's focus on what EA's move has the potential to do. As I stated earlier, they're an industry leader, and what happens when an industry leader makes a big move? Others start to follow, and that's exactly what I expect to happen here with GFN. No major player in the game is just gonna let one of their biggest competitors make a move and not talk about it or consider doing the same thing. There's clearly a reason why EA is making this move. Just what that move is everyone's guess at the moment. It could be as simple as users wanting that sort of experience from EA, or it could be that a deal was made in the background, or maybe even EA themselves are noticing just how many people are playing Apex Legends on it. That last note is also very interesting when you consider the fact that Apex Legends is one of the most played games on GFN, and specifically when you combine that with last week's news about nearly 80% of the devices that currently access GeForce Now would not otherwise be capable of playing the latest PC games, it's starting to seem like GeForce Now numbers may be pretty damn good in the background. EA more than likely has this data available, and the fact that they allowed Apex Legends to remain on the service this entire time and it happens to be one of the most played means that they probably have a pretty good idea of just how many of those users are potential customers for their other titles. All of this just really bodes well for GeForce Now. Now let's change gears and quickly discuss why this is great news for everyone in the cloud gaming community. Whether or not you decide to play your games on GeForce Now, this is something that you should be happy to see. Simply put, cloud gaming has a lot to prove to the mainstream audience, and if it has to prove to them, well, it has to prove to publishers that it's financially viable. It has to be worth their investment in bringing those games over or putting them on services to actually have any interest in supporting the medium. And just to borrow a bit of Andrew Fear's confidence on this one, it's not a matter of if, but when cloud gaming will be a major factor in the gaming landscape. As it's usually said, content is king, and having games that matter are what bring consumers to your platform or services. The same applies to cloud gaming as a medium in general. If it has all the games that people want to play, well, you're gonna see more people have interest in cloud gaming. EA has already started by bringing some of their games to Stadia, and while we don't know what the future holds with their partnership in that aspect, as they did only sign a 5-game deal, if you're on Stadia, you know what that meant for that platform. FIFA is easily one of the most populated non-crossplay games on it. That's just further proof that EA's titles certainly do matter to many users out there, and the more that they're available on cloud platforms, the more users are willing to try out cloud gaming. And for that very reason alone, it's great news for everyone involved, because more people getting their hands on cloud gaming will convince more users that it's a viable way to play. The stigma still exists that cloud gaming just adds too much latency to be playable, and that's not really the case anymore. Much like with virtual reality and Google Cardboard, one bad experience can turn you off the whole notion. And there have been previous attempts at cloud gaming that just didn't pan out. We can take a look at OnLive. And also, much like virtual reality, cloud gaming is the type of thing that's best when you try it out for yourself rather than hear about it. Only then will you be surprised by how well it works right now and really get to experience the benefit it offers. All in all, what I'm really trying to get at here is that more new users will try out cloud gaming for the first time because a certain EA title has arrived on a service. And all that does is accelerate cloud gaming's growth as a whole. Either way, that wraps up my thoughts. Do leave your opinion down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button, as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As always, thank you for watching the video. This has been The Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming and VR related. And until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.